Sorry for the delay, everybody. Er, uh, I, man. So, I go like 10 or like 15 minutes ago now, and let me go set up some stuff for the live stream and, realize that I'm on my Mac Studio. I've never actually done a live stream using my traditional live stream software on my Mac Studio. Didn't even have it installed. And wow, that was quite the oversight. So I was quickly floundering to get everything installed and hoping that everything's working. Let me know, please. Let me know if everything's a okay. Okay, you guys are laughing. So yeah, that was a Joe move. Yeah, totally, dude. Normally, like, because I had this like dialed in, my setup was dialed in, so it was like 2 minutes before the live stream. Normally, I launched an automated action that just launches everything that I need. Boom, I'm ready to go. But yeah, none of that was set up on this Mac. So I've been floundering to get everything installed and configured. There's a couple minor things that I actually couldn't. I don't remember how I set up on my other Mac. So like I was actually planning on sharing my phone today, but for some reason it's not working. So you're gonna get a little bit of look at this today. Okay, so yeah, I will. Sorry about that. rookie move right there. Okay. But everyone's in the chat. Looks like everyone can hear me and see me. Let's make sure that you can, guys can, let's see that you should now see my desktop. Just make sure that you guys can see my desktop as well. Cool. Thanks, Tony. Okay. Fun times. And I was hoping to get like a little snack before this live stream too, like go get a little snack or refill my drink or something. Man, then I was all like chaos. Okay. Yep, it's not a live stream without something going wrong. That's right. Cool. Okay. Today we're going to be going over something that I think it was 3 weeks ago on the Hangouts. I showed off some stuff, a couple different pieces of software. We played around with some more ideas and came up with a really cool workflow for testing your websites locally. Now, I know that yes, we have preview in RapidWeaver and Stacks and we can preview in the browser, preview in multiple browsers. I use I'll just say right now, I don't use RapidWeaver's preview all that much. I almost always just Command P into my default browser. It's just what I like to use. Okay. I have found though that RapidWeaver's previews caching, I don't know what it is. Okay. Because I still use RapidWeaver 8.9.3. So obviously they haven't shipped any updates to that, right? So it's something maybe in the OS or in WebKit that is changed. It has gotten preview caching like pretty aggressive. Like I'll make some changes and preview. And I don't see my changes in preview. So yeah, something's changed. A little annoying. Not going to go down that rabbit hole, but just something that popped into my brain as I was talking to you guys. So um you know, if you preview in a browser, it's easy to empty the cache. Option Command E. Know that shortcut. Right? Option Command E. Use your thumb to push Option and Command, and your index finger to hit E. It's just like boof, empty cache. I do that all the time. So there we go. Okay. The Dev Inspector is a lot easier to use inside a browser too. Okay. Right. But I'm went down a rabbit hole. Let's get back to business here. Testing. So we have preview, but as you know, some things don't work in preview, right? Um, a lot of your traditional stacks do, but there are some things that just straight up don't work in preview. There are some things with Total CMS that you kind of need to publish. And so yeah, we're gonna go over a workflow today using an app called MAMP. Now, I used MAMP years ago and I stopped using it. And recently, I think the last version I paid for was version 3. So way back in the day. They're currently at version 6. And they added some nice features that I think are viable now. It actually makes Total CMS pretty usable in MAMP. And over the years, I've gotten a lot of questions from people asking how can we use Total CMS locally inside MAMP, and um, traditionally Total CMS hasn't worked. But I'm not sure what version they added some of these features, but it does now in version 6. So we are going to be looking at version 6 today. There is a free and a pro version. We're going to be looking at both. Okay. And I did email them asking for like a discount if I did a live stream. And it's been almost 2 weeks and they haven't got back to me yet. I even sent up some follow-up emails. So unfortunately, if they ever do get back to me, I'll make sure I post some details to you guys with that information. But as of right now, there is no upgrade or discount options that I have. Sorry. I wanted to do this live stream last week, but I was like, let's give them one more week to reply. They haven't replied yet. So I wanted to get this knowledge into your hands, though, and you can see how cool it is. If you want to, you can use the free trial for like 14 days. That gives us an extra 2 weeks for them to reply to me. But there we go. Okay. By the way, thanks for everyone joining. Roy, haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Martin, thanks for coming on. Robert Johnson from the UK. Sweet. Oh, we got Ryan, the oil field guy. Oil field oil and gas gifts. Man, try to say that 10 times fast, Ryan. Man. Okay. Dr. Bob's here. Martin, Roy, Tony, thanks for coming on. Willie, how's it going in South Africa there? Sweet. Okay. Hope that new generator, you got some like big old generator. Hope that's working out for you too. Okay. Anyway, let's dive in. Let's go ahead and let's start working. Okay. I'm going to launch MAMP. As you see, I do have MAMP and MAMP Pro installed. We're gonna be playing with MAMP first. All right. Oh, it launched on my other desktop. Okay. So what I'm gonna do here is I am just going to let's open up. We don't really need a RapidWeaver project open, but this is the website we're going to be looking at. Okay, this is foundationstacks.com. Okay, let's just minimize that really quick. All right, so with MAMP, it is a Apache web server. Okay, the free version, super simple to use. Basically, inside the preferences, you can go ahead and where is it? Here in the server tab, you can go ahead and pick a folder. Okay. And this folder, let's open it in Finder. Okay. This folder here is the export or the publish of my RapidWeaver project. Okay. So let's go ahead and inside the project file, let's just go to my publishing settings. And what I've done here, now normally for this particular project, I actually don't publish it directly to my server. I always publish to a local folder. Okay. But what's kind of cool is you can set up local publishing. And so for example, here, let's set up something I think a lot of people don't know. Okay. Let's back up. I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole really quick. Just wanted to let you know that I am publishing to this local folder. Okay. For now. All right. So that folder contains this website. And basically, that's all you have to do here. And let's see, you can change the ports if you want to, but you're probably fine. I think really for the free version, just go ahead and change your folder, click OK, and click the start button. Whoops. Well, I just stopped it. Click start button. Okay. And what that's doing is that's going to start a web server on your Mac. Okay. Now, for some reason, it does open up on this welcome screen. Essentially, what it does is it will, if you look at this, it goes localhost :888. Just remove this /mamp jazz. Okay. And there you go. You have a fully functional website on your local Mac. And it should behave exactly as if you were on your actual website. Okay. So you can go ahead and click on demo and docs, and it'll link over to demo and docs, right? Let's go a little bit wider so we can see this, right? And so we can click through, and all of this is on, it's all local, right? So I can go ahead and preview all of this. Now, what's really cool about this is we can also choose the PHP version. So if I wanted to change this to PHP 8.2, which I probably recommend you do, that's kind of nice. Use, what was that error? You selected a PHP H rate, cuts off old pigtail, blah, 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 blah. Don't show again. Okay, thanks. All right, go here. It opens up the MAMP sales page. I think that's only does this for the free version. Okay. Now, one thing the free version does of MAMP, you'll notice that it actually, you have to use localhost, and you can change the port. So by default, it's 888. If you want to change that, you can change that port number. It's in the preferences, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. If you don't want to have any ports at all, okay, so if you just want to go like to localhost, okay, I'll show you how to do that. We can go to ports, and you just click this default 80 and 3306. So if you click that, you go OK. And it's going to restart. And now localhost will, it'll work without. Here we go. It'll work without. So it's just localhost. That's it. Okay. Now, something to note that this doesn't use SSL. It doesn't have an HTTPS, right? But we're on localhost. So, for a majority of purposes, I think this is great. Okay. Another thing that's really, really nice is because this is Apache. I don't know if I have a, do I have, I think I closed that Finder window. If we go to that folder again, where is Foundation Sex? There we go. If you notice here, I have a directory for every single website, right? So I publish all my websites local, okay? I'm going to go ahead and chuck this into a code editor really quick. Realized I didn't quit any of my apps, whatever. All right. And I was wondering if I don't have an htaccess file here. Drats. Okay. What I wanted to show you is because the MAMP uses Apache, it's the same web server that's most likely running on your actual web server on your hosting company. It will support your htaccess rules, okay, which is pretty cool. So if you want to test redirects, or if you want to make changes to your htaccess file and then verify it's not going to break your entire website, because if you have issues in your htaccess file, it could completely trash your entire website, right? So if you want to be really cautious about that, you can actually test all that here inside of MAMP, okay, which is a nice, a really nice thing to have. Okay, and we'll get into that with MAMP Pro. Actually, we will test that. Okay, I wanted to show you guys the free version, basically. Let's see if there's any questions here. All right, no questions yet. Super simple. Okay. Now, let's talk about a workflow now. Okay, so how am I going? What's a faster workflow for this? So let's go into RapidWeaver. Okay, let me go ahead and close some of these windows that can be confusing. I will leave that one open. All right, let's go into RapidWeaver. So what I think a good workflow is, actually, before I do that, what are some benefits of doing this? I mean, you're like, Joe, I can preview my site. It's just fine. Okay. I publish to my server and it just works. But how long does it take to publish to your server? I know that we've all used RapidWeaver and we make one little change and we could publish, and like 2,000 files start getting published. And I don't know, some of you even live on the wild side and you don't even preview, you just publish to your server, right? Um, so imagine getting all that time back because sometimes publishing, depending on our hosting company, can take a while, right? Oh, here's a little tidbit. Also, in the free version, it opens up this little bad boy here. I just wanted to show you. You could just uncheck that so it never shows you again, and you can close it. All right. Um, hold on. Let's get into business. Talk about business here. So, okay. So a lot of times you click that publish button, and it can take minutes, right? So a lot of times you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee, and then you realize you make a mistake and you got to shoot and it's got to republish again. So then you republish again. And so that could take up a decent amount of time of our days, right? Just waiting for publishing to happen. And some of us have really bad internet connections, have slow hosting companies, right? There's a lot of things that could really delay and make that publishing process take a long time. Other things are there are some hosting companies. I love one called DreamHost. It's kind of it's not my main hosting company, it's my backup, but it's what I use for my testing server and whatnot, right? And recently they've added the ability to like basically they'll throttle you. So if you publish too much, like they'll time you out for like 5 minutes and you can't publish for 5 minutes, right? So this kind of solves that because we don't need to constantly be publishing to our server. We can just test everything locally. And then when we're happy, then we publish our server and go get our cup of coffee because we deserved it because we actually did all of our work and we're done. Right. Right. So just some ideas about workflow and why this could be a better approach. Saves us a lot of time. Okay. And let's show you. Okay, so let's go ahead and well, I'm going to show you on a project that actually probably makes sense. One that I actually do publish. Probably this one probably doesn't make much sense. Let's go ahead and let's do a new one. Right. I'm going to go ahead and open up my sandbox project. It's a small project file, just my playground project file for my sandbox site. But as you know, I can go ahead and I can publish this, right? So I can go ahead and go file. Let's go republish all files, right? And now this is going to go ahead and publish 636 files. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. As you see, it's not the fastest. Actually, DreamHost moved to a new server. I swear my old server used to be a little bit faster. But, if you have to constantly do this, right? Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Yeah. Okay. So I'm publishing this project file, my sandbox project. I'm republishing all files. And you didn't miss much. I just did file, republish all files. And as you see, it's republishing 636 files. Fun times. And I'm sitting here. We're all sitting here watching this. And it's all happened to us. And we just sit here and we watch and we wait. And we wait. And we wait. Right? And there we go. And that probably took a minute, maybe. Okay. And this is a small project, right? If you see, I only have like half a dozen pages. It does have Total CMS, which has quite a bit of files, but as you see, it was a relatively small project, and that took a minute, right? So, how can I do this with a new workflow? So I'm going to go into my publishing preferences, okay? And what you'll notice here, actually, darn it, we're going to remove this. All right. So this is my default publishing, right? When I click the publish button up at top, it's going to publish to my server. Okay. But if you didn't know, you can actually have multiple publishing destinations, which is kind of cool. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add a new destination in here. And let's give it a host. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go http:// we're doing the local version, so we're going to do localhost. Okay. No username and password, and we're going to do it to a local folder. And I'm just going to call this I'm going to call this localhost. So I have DreamHost, okay, and localhost. And we're going to choose the folder. I'm going to create a completely new folder. Let's go ahead and I'm going to add one to my desktop. Why not? Just for fun. All right. create a new folder, call it sandbox. I'm going to create that. I'm going to choose that. And if you notice here, you can enter your website address. I guess when you put that into that screen before, it didn't populate it here. Okay. So here I have, I'm going to enter in localhost. Now, if you didn't do that port 80 thing like I did earlier, we can do 888. And actually, I'm going to change that back to use 888. Okay. And then, yeah, we're done. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, now, if you didn't know, in the publish button, you can click this little doohickey and you can choose which location you want to publish to. And you always know when you click the publish button, which one it goes to because it has DreamHost. Okay. So I'm going to click localhost and now I have localhost. And now my publish button is here because it knows I didn't publish anything there yet. Right. So I can go ahead and click publish. And boom, done. Literally, that was like 2 seconds. Okay. Versus like a minute or 2 minutes. Sometimes publishing can take, for some of you, 10, 15 minutes. Right? Pretty cool. Now in MAMP, what I can do is I can go in my preference here. Let's go ahead and change that. Obviously, I changed the location. Let's go ahead and fix that. I'm gonna put this back to the MAMP default since I set it to 8080. We're gonna go server. We're gonna choose, and I'm gonna choose that folder that I picked there, sandbox. All right. All right. So now we're in sandbox. Let's add some content here just so we have a little bit of something here. It's a boring blank page. There we go. Look, I made some changes. I'm going to go ahead and publish. And can we? I guess you can't. I have open after publish turned off. So we're going to go to localhost 888. Look, see caching. There we go. It was cached to the other one. Now here we go. There's my site. So now I can go ahead, I can make whatever changes I want in my project file. And when I'm ready, I can then go ahead and switch my publishing destination to DreamHost and publish this. And there we go. We're done. Pretty cool, right? So now I can make all the changes I want, go to localhost. And as you saw, publishing is going to be super quick. I can preview this in my browser. Okay. Now, one thing to note that this local preview only works on my Mac. Okay. So that's an important thing to note. The local host, it will only work on your Mac. What can we do to test on things like this or my iPad or other Macs on my network? Well, we're going to be talking about that. That would require MAMP Pro. Okay. But for now, this is pretty cool, right? Let's see if there's any questions here. Scott says preview is for, and fill in the blank. Nice. All right, so this has, I think we've kind of talked about and showed you a pretty decent workflow. Now, what's interesting is, let's go to publishing settings again. Roy, good question. So MAMP does have a MySQL instance. Okay. So if you have stacks that require MySQL, you can set up that database locally. I'm not going to be going into MySQL, but MAMP does have MySQL, and you can use your favorite MySQL apps locally to connect to MySQL locally on your MAMP server. Maybe add some test data. So that then when you publish locally, you can then access all of that data from your preview, right? So if your website that's published has a MySQL database, you can have a MySQL database local that then maybe has test data, or maybe you replicate your data down. I'm not going to go into MySQL today, but it is there. Okay. So actually, if you're curious what MAMP means, so way back in the day, or even now, people call a LAMP stack, LAMP, is probably like the most utilized web server stack, okay, in the world. And what LAMP means is Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. Okay. So that is the technology stack that serves up a majority of the web. Now, if you could maybe guess from now, what does MAMP mean? Well, we're not running Linux, we're running on Macs. So this means Mac, Apache, MySQL, PHP. Okay. Now they've kind of added to it. You can actually run a server called Nginx, right? So you don't have to run Apache. Apache is the default, but you can run Nginx. Some call it Nginx, whatever you want to call it. This weird name, Nginx. I call it Nginx, whatever. Nginx. I think the technical thing is Nginx. But I call it Nginx. Whatever. Okay. But Apache is what most likely what your web server is going to be running. Okay. Note that this. So Josh puts in a comment saying that this won't prevent hard-coded warehouse links from loading from your domain folder. That is 100% true. Okay. So if you're using Jan asks, well, I'll get to that question. So if you're warehousing links to your server on your domain, it will still pull those images from your web server online because you're giving the full URL to a particular image. Okay. Now, if you're using like a macro that then, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, confuse people, but that is a great point. If you are warehousing images and those warehoused images are on your server, even inside MAMP, they're going to be querying those things from your server. Okay. Jan then asks, is MAMP run on Windows? MAMP actually does have a Windows version, funny enough. I believe they actually do call it WAMP. But yes, they do have a Windows version. Okay. But we're all Mac users here. So, but anyway, there is a WAMP as well on MAMP's website. Okay. How do we manage the files in the Finder to add my CSV files, for example? So Sean, wherever basically you'd have to copy your online server, right? So if your CSV file on your server is in your resources folder, locally it'll also be on your resources folder inside MAMP, if that makes any sense. Okay. There are other workflows other than this, right? Another thing that you could potentially do is only ever publish locally, and then you have this file inside Finder, and then you could use something like Transmit to then sync this up to your server. Okay. If you do that workflow, make sure that your web address here is not localhost. Make sure that you set that to be your final one, right? Because we want to make sure that your actual domain is there. Okay. So if you use this setup, make sure that this, is set to your domain, not localhost. Okay. But yeah, anything else? So if you have resources, like here, I have a bunch of resources. If you have a CSV file, make sure that CSV file is here. Okay. If I'm assuming you're using something like Feeds, then Feeds will be able to find it on your local Mac as well, just as it will online. Okay. Good question, Sean. Thanks. I opened Windows. I did not want Windows. Yes, I see Mac. Okay. So yes. Yeah. If MAMP is it's just mamp.info is the website. Right? Yeah. MAMP. Okay. And I believe there is a Windows version, right? I think if you go to the buy page, I think if you go to the buy page, yeah. Funny enough, they still call it MAMP, even though it runs on Windows. Funny enough. Okay. Why didn't they call it WAMP? That's sad. They should call it WAMP. Maybe, I think back in the day they used to. Maybe there's some sort of legal thing or something like that. But anyway, there you go. There is another app here called Namo, whatever it is. We are going to be talking about that and what that's used for. Okay, So let's now talk, let's move and let's talk about MAMP Pro. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I need to stop MAMP. I'm going to let's quit MAMP. All right, and now I'm going to start MAMP Pro. And let's go ahead and click start. Now, what's cool about MAMP Pro, let's go to the simple mode. Okay. What's really interesting, and I think one of the biggest selling points to me for MAMP Pro is that you don't have to use localhost. You can set up your own unique domain names. Okay. So here is one that I just called totalcms.test. And I'm going to open up my browser. And in MAMP, you can actually, as you see, the interface is much different. You can have as many websites as you want. In the free version, you have to, you can only run one web server at a time. Here, you can add as many as you want. I do have a local host here, but I also have totalcms.test. And what's cool is I'm going to actually go to totalcms.test. And here, let's just go to. Okay. I forgot what this was. And so totalcms.test, a couple things you'll notice. Yes, this is some docs for TotalCMS 3. I wasn't planning on showing this off, and I won't dive into it, but there you go. Okay. But let's look at what this is doing for us. Okay. Didn't mean to leak any of this information. What this allows us to do, it gives us a full-blown web server locally. I can have a custom domain, and I have HTTPS. That's really cool. So now I can create whatever domain I want, right? Okay, let's look at this sandbox folder here. I'm going to go ahead and let's create a new one. I'm going to create this as an empty thing. I'm going to call this local.joeworkman.net. Okay. And my document root is, I'm going to go to my desktop. Let's go to sandbox. Okay. So there, local.joeworkman.net is now pointing to my sandbox. Okay. And it's going to generate an SSL cert for me. I'm going to say create host. Voila. So now I can go ahead and I can go to local.joeworkman.net in my browser. And it's going to put pie in my face, isn't it? Why didn't that work? Oh, hold on one second. Let's see. I do remember there was one. I thought the port settings were global. No databases. New SSL. I'm using Apache. General. Oh, IP address star. Why didn't that default to star? Let's restart. Oh, save and start. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Not sure why IP address wasn't set. For some reason, well, that gets you. There we go. All right, so now you notice this was that sandbox project that I just published, right? And now I have a cool domain called local.joeworkman.net. This is pretty cool. Now for ports, I do have to say by default, MAMP Pro will use non-default ports. Okay, and what that means is if you go to the I think it's in preferences, isn't it? No. Okay, if you go to advanced mode, so MAMP Pro has these simple versus advanced mode. Okay, and then you go to ports and users. Okay, and then click on the set ports to 80. This top button, 80, 81, 443, blah 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 blah. Click on that, and it will default the port to 80. Okay, which means without going into it, it means by default you would have to still do :88888, but we don't want that. Okay, I just want to have this cool just domain so it looks like a website, right? Well, it is a website, but it's just local on my Mac. Okay, so make sure you go into the ports and users and click this button. Okay, if you ever want to go back, you can set MAMP ports, right? But click this set port default ports. Okay, and I think that was the only thing I ever changed was that right there. Okay, let's go back to simple mode. So pretty cool. Okay. So MAMP, this feature here is, I think, a game changer. Okay, being able to just quickly invent my own domain. Now, you want to make sure you don't put in your actual domain, like such as sandbox.joeworkman.net, which is an actual live website. Okay, because if you do that, right, which it's blank. Okay, if you do that, it won't ever go to your website and it'll only ever serve up your local content. So definitely make sure you choose a domain that does not exist online at all. Okay. And you can invent your own things, such as here is totalcms.test, or you can use a subdomain of an existing domain. Okay. So here I'm using local.joeworkman.net. Now, the being able to use and dynamically create subdomains for our actual domain is a game changer for Total CMS, local testing and whatnot. Why is that? Well, as you probably know, Total CMS is licensed per domain. So if you wanted to test Total CMS, you have to publish it to a domain. You can't publish it to localhost. It has to be published to a licensed domain. But if I have joeworkman.net and local.joeworkman.net is just a subdomain, well, guess what? Total CMS will also work locally. So now I can publish local tests for my Total CMS. It'll work all 100% local. And then on top of that, the same license will be, worked for local testing as well as online. Okay, my production site online. So that's a really huge game changer. Now, if I were to, let's go ahead and open up. Did I quit RapidWeaver? Oh no, good. I still have it open. Okay. Let's go to, now this is a really simple blog project. Okay. And all right. Now, as you know, most of Total CMS does work inside RapidWeaver or inside Preview. Okay. However, this is a really small project file. But if you have a large one, you'll notice that sometimes previewing a Total CMS page, depending on how many macros and blogs and everything that you have on a page, it could take a while to preview, which is why some users just publish and they never preview. But what if we can configure RapidWeaver Preview to actually communicate to MAMP local, right? That could be pretty cool, right? Now again, this is a really simple project, so it's going to be hard to show you the performance difference. But it's pretty big game changer. Now, right now, this is configured to connect to my web server. And I know that because it basically looks here. It looks at your website address right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just change this to be local. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's go back to blog. Now, if you look now, it says no blog posts found. And the reason for that is because I don't have any blog data here, right? It's looking here. It did create a CMS folder, but there's no data inside CMS data, okay, because it's all local. So again, this does work. And earlier, what I did was I copied the CMS data folder off my Sandbox server and downloaded it. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and move it in here. I'm going to replace. So now I have CMS data. So I'm going to go ahead and let's change this. Let's go and refresh again. And voila. Now, you might not have noticed it. There actually was a difference in performance of preview. Like this is pretty instant versus what it was, before. But if you had a very complex page that had multiple macros and a lot of stuff going on, this could be a game changer for your workflow. Now, if you do use this workflow, you do want to make sure that you only set this when you're working locally. You're going to want to make sure that you change this website address when you publish to your server. Now, if you do publish to your server, okay, you could potentially leave this. But then when you go to your publishing settings, make sure that in your when you're setting, this is my live production server, make sure your website address is set here. So I'm going to want to do https://sandbox.joeworkman.net. Okay. That should, okay, make sure that when I publish to DreamHost, it'll make sure that the website address is set to Sandbox. Okay. Test that though. I've never. I'll be honest. While I knew you can define the website address in multiple places, and I have used this setup a little bit. Oh, like here. Let's go ahead and instead of we want this to be local.joeworkman.net now, right? Yeah, test that. Make sure that when you're publishing, make sure that all your site is still functional and Total CMS is actually still saving and all that jazz. Okay. Or if you want to be extra cautious, just make sure that when you are publishing, you can change this website, to the actual live production website. But by changing it to the MAMP server, that's local for now, it will make preview 1,000 times faster. Josh says you could use the actual domain inside MAMP, but you just need to make sure that you shut off MAMP if you want to see your server. That is true. Well, I haven't tested that because MAMP does, behind the scenes, it does stuff with something called your Etsy host file, which is like some local DNS name resolution. And I know that it populates that. But if you stop the server, does it remove that stuff from Etsy host? I don't know. Here, let's check out. Let's geek out a little bit. So I'm on my Mac, and if I do cat/Etsy hosts, we'll see that here, local.joeworkman.net is there. So is totalcms.test. So I'm gonna stop MAMP, and I want to see if this entry is still there. Let's go ahead and try. Stop. Oh, look at that. It does. So that is nice. MAMP cleans up after itself. Okay, so Josh is correct. You could make this sandbox.joeworkman.net, and whenever you are previewing locally while MAMP is running, it'll always serve up local. That's interesting. So yeah, even I learned something new during this live stream. There we go. So if you really wanted, you could actually make this the same exact domain. And at that point, here, let's try it. All right, so I'm going to change this to be Sandbox. And we're going to start. All right, And then in my project, I could change it. I can keep all these to be sandbox. Actually, you know what? I think this is an interesting workflow. And then we go back to my publishing settings and I make that sandbox as well. Actually, I mean, if it's all, you don't need to set this if it's already set in the publishing settings, but okay, that's pretty interesting. All right, so we'll save that. And we'll publish local. And now if I go to sandbox, all right, here's a good point. The very first time, at least for me, I think it didn't happen to everybody that I've been talking to or helping set this up. The first time you go to your site served up with MAMP, you'll get this in Safari. Okay. And that's because Safari doesn't necessarily like self-assigned SSL certs or SSL certs that MAMP uses. Okay. So, but this only you only have to do this the very first time you ever do it on your Mac, and you'll never have to do it ever again. You just do show details, and then you can just say visit this website. And yes, I want to visit this website. And there we go. Okay. That's again the very first time. Kind of glad we did that so you guys can see that. Now I'm going to sandbox.joeworkman.net, but it's serving up local content. Right. And if I go to blog, I think it's blog test. Boom. All this data here, this is served up from MAMP. It is not getting served up from my domain. Okay. How do we know that? Well, we know that. So if I go to the homepage, you'll see that I have this markdown. But I know for a fact the current online webpage, if you guys go to sandbox.joeworkman.net right now, it's just a blank white page. There's nothing on it. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna stop MAMP. And then I'm going to empty my browser cache and refresh. And there we go. Now it shows me the blank page, which is what is actually online right now. Okay. Let's go ahead and start MAMP and refresh. And there we go. I get my local stuff. So that's a pretty good workflow. I think that's a really, really good workflow. All right, let me see. There's a lot of chatter going on. Note you will need a local copy of your CMS data folder. Yes, that's what I did. So if you guys didn't, I said I downloaded the CMS data from my server and I put it in the folder that I'm publishing to in MAMP, that MAMP is configured to look at, right? So I'm publishing to my desktop, this sandbox folder on my desktop. Inside there, I downloaded the CMS folder from my server. Okay. Now what you have to say is if you ever, update or change the data, so if I go in here, let's go into this blog. So right now I'm serving up from MAMP, right? If I go to my blog admin, and let's go ahead and I don't know, let's delete this guy right here. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can edit it. I didn't put a delete button on here. Bad me. Okay. All right, so here I saved something. Look, Total CMS is saving. Okay, I edited this blog post. This blog post is only edited locally. This won't change. This change won't be reflected. Okay, so let's go back to admin. We'll see that I have future blog posts edited. Remember, this is currently on my local Mac. Okay, now let's go ahead and turn MAMP off. And if it's empty cache, refresh. If you notice that edit is gone because now it's no longer going through MAMP, it's going through my server online. Okay, and this is the actual live data. So just be careful. Know that, the data that you download and you have locally, it's basically test data at that point. Okay, unless you want to take the step of like uploading everything again, I wouldn't recommend that. But because then that you're getting easily things that can get out of sync, I would just say have an initial set of data, maybe locally. It's just test data. It's just to help you see things. Okay. It is not live at all. So, yeah. Are there any recommendations when you make regarding Mac resources, CPU, memory storage? No, I mean MAMP. I used to use it 15 years ago, whatever. Um, and it's pretty lightweight. Um, I mean, yes, I'm on a beefy Mac Studio now, but I was running this on my 2016 Mac Pro laptop, and it runs just fine. Um, so yeah, I don't think it's any issues in terms of CPU. In terms of disk space, um, I don't know what size the app makes. I think the app takes a few hundred megabytes, probably. Here, let's see if you're curious on how big MAMP is. Um, it is it's 1.5 gig, so it is big. It's not tiny, so it does have 1.5 gigabytes. And the app is that's minimal 77. So right, so it takes up a gig of space. And yeah, I think it's worth it. I think it's really good. It's not. I don't think a gig is much nowadays. So there's that. Uh, and if we're curious here, I'll even run activity monitor. Now, this is going to be, I mean, you can see how much CPU, but again, I'm running a 2023 Mac Studio. So, and I don't even know if this will show up. It's probably going to show up as Apache. I don't, yeah. It's HTTP. So there's the various processes. It's using up almost no memory or CPU. It's using 200 megabytes of memory. Okay. So yeah, not much. Now you can serve up multiple websites. As you see, Sandbox is a little bit this, and we have I don't even know what some of these other ones are. Interesting. This one is definitely the MAMP though, right? So it's using 200 less than 300 megabytes of memory. Okay. Now, if you were serving up multiple websites, one of these is my Safari tab. This could be Safari, not even MAMP, because if I close that guy, okay, these are my Safari tabs, not even MAMP. So I don't know, it's not even showing up anywhere. Not sure. Let's see if it shows up in this graph. It's not utilizing anything. Obviously, I'm running Wirecast, which is my live studio, which that's a big resource hog. So it's not even showing up there. Okay. I think that the resource utilization is going to be very minimal. Okay. It's a very small footprint. Okay. The last bit I wanted to talk about today, and it's 12:30. We're reaching the end. Is okay. So I have MAMP. Cool. Now what I want to do is I want to run this bad boy on my phone. So I have sandbox.joeworkman.net on my Mac. How can I connect to that from my phone? And it is a little complicated. Okay. It's not stupendous. I'll admit it. And man, I'm really wishing I could share my iPhone now screen like I did before on my when I had my laptop set up. Let me see if I can quickly hold on one second. Let me see if I can figure that out really quick. Wirecast. Display iPhone screen. I forget how I did this. iOS screen capture. How do I do it? Captured devices iPhone. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this. 1 second. All right. Click on show. Click Thunderbolt. Blah 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 blah. Show all devices. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. This will be worth it. I promise. Hold on, guys. All right. course, this FAQ is out of date. Click on show USB devices to make sure where is show USB devices? Media switch. Ah, found it. All right, show all devices. Refresh. Any problems? Try connecting them separate USB buses and lowering your resolution. Not working, guys. Shoot. Okay. Darn it. Shoot. Read the chat. Go to new record. Open QuickTime. Oh, go to open QuickTime. Okay, QuickTime. And then we can go to file, new screen recording. Nope. Open QuickTime with phone connected. Go to new record video. New video. There is no new video, Josh. There's new movie. I don't want to use my I want to get my iPhone screen. I want to show the screen, which is what I used to do. I don't want to use my iPhone camera. I want to use switch camera to iPhone. My iPhone doesn't show up. I've Joe's iPhone camera, but I don't want to use my iPhone camera. I want to use my iPhone screen. Yeah. I had this option in Wirecast, but I can't. I want to do my iPhone screen. Oh well. It's not gonna work. I'll try my best to show you guys over the camera. Okay. over the video feed here. It's not too hard. Okay. So what we're gonna do is remember earlier I talked about an app called Namo or Namo. Not sure what to do here. Okay. So Namo allows us to it's essentially a DNS server that lives on your Mac. Okay. Now let me get rid of some windows here so it's not confusing us. We only have what we need. All right, MAMP Pro, Namo. All right. So here I'm going to sandbox.joerogan.net. I'm going to click on plus and I want to serve up my local IP address. Okay. And it is currently active. So let's save. All right. So here is the kind of the tricky bit is getting my phone to recognize Namo's DNS settings. Okay. Okay. And sorry, I wish I could share my iPhone screen. I'll do my best to show you from here. Okay. First off, what you can do is in Namo, you go to help DNS server IP address. Okay. And this gives you the IP address of your local Mac on your local network. Okay. Then what you want to do is on your iPhone, you're going to go to your network preferences. Okay. So you go into, I'm on my Wi-Fi. I'm going to click on the Wi-Fi. Okay. And then you're going to go down to, you're going to find DNS. And it is, man, it's, you're going to go to configure DNS. Sorry, this is tiny. Sorry, guys. Okay. By default, it's going to be set to automatic. Okay. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set it to be manual. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure the very first DNS server on your list is the IP address of your, oh, and hold on, I just realized you're not seeing me. Okay. So let's back up a little bit. You go to your current Wi-Fi connection. Okay. You scroll all the way down to the bottom and you configure and you click configure DNS. Okay. Then you're going to set it to be manual. That will allow you to edit this list here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to make sure it has to be the very first instance. Okay. And so, and sometimes it's a little finicky. So you're going to go ahead and tap new server, and I'm going to type in the IP address that we got from the Namo app. So I can do 192.168.7.189. Okay. We're going to save that. Now, I haven't tried this since doing iOS 17. In iOS 17, it does not allow me to edit the order or edit that top one, which is a little annoying. So what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and delete these other ones so that the only thing on my list is my server. Okay. And you click save. Now, my iPhone is using my local Mac as a DNS server. And if I now go to sandbox.joeworkman.net, of course, it's caching. It's using the cached content because there's no easy way to friggin' let's load a private window. Oh, one thing I've noticed. Okay, it wasn't working. It's loading from my server. One thing I did notice is after you change DNS, I found that in order for it to actually work, you have to turn off Wi-Fi and then turn it back on. Then if we go, and now it's giving me that similar error that we got on my Mac earlier. Again, this, you only have to do this once. I'm going to say show details, visit this website, and voila, it's worked. And I know it's worked because it's showing the data that is not published online. Okay. Now, I haven't figured out a great way to set this up as like a permanent DNS solution. Okay. Because now, at least in iOS 17, I haven't played around with it much. I had to delete my other servers because it has to be able to show my server at the top of the list. And you can't change the order without deleting things, which is a little annoying. But even before, I took the time to change the order and re-add everything as they were before. I was having a little bit of issues. So what I did in the past was that I change it to manual when I want to test this stuff. And then when I'm done, I then go back to my DNS and I set it back to automatic and save it. Now it'll be dynamic. It'll, work as it did before, but it won't be able to connect to my local MAMP. So whenever I want to test to connect to my local MAMP server on my Mac, I go ahead and change the Wi-Fi to manual. And if you notice when you do that, oh shoot, you have to reset it up. It used to save the information, but now it didn't. It went back to what the let's go back to manual. Yeah, it did. So there we go. A little cumbersome, but it does work. And I think it's really, really nice to be able to test, and it'll work on everything in your local network as well. So you can do the same thing on your iPads or your other Macs and stuff like that. There might be a better workflow for that. I'm not sure, but it's kind of what I've come up with so far, and I think it works pretty well. So yeah, let's see if there's any other. Yep, no other comments. So that's the only thing Namo does. If you want to be able to test locally from your phone or other devices on your network on that little test server that you're creating on your Mac, Namo is the deal. It's kind of what you need. And that plus the domain things were like the missing piece for me for years, and why I stopped using MAMP, because it didn't have features like that. And now it does. And it's really, really cool. I really like it. So anyway, I think that does it for today. Hopefully you got a little bit of benefit from this setup. It is really cool. I think it will drastically improve our time for publishing, right? Now, all that time publishing to our servers and publishing can definitely be saved here. It can save us a lot of time and headaches. So, and that's always a good thing. So MAMP, I wish they were able to send me a discount code for all you guys. Maybe eventually they will. I've sent them 2 follow-ups. They haven't got back to me yet. So, unfortunately, I don't know if they will. So if this is something that you think looks cool to you, you can use the free version for now, or you can use the Pro. I think Pro plus Namo, like they have a bundle. I think it's like $100 or something like that. So it is an investment, but I think it's a good one. Investing in our wasted time is, you can save 15, 20 minutes a day times days and days and days and days. It could save you hours and hours of publishing time. So I think it's worth it. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, go forth and make your websites great, everybody. Take care, everyone. See you on the community. Oh, hey, I posted on the community. I'm just looking for feedback. Let me know what like some of your pain points are. I sent an email about it earlier this morning too. You probably got it if you're on the Weavers Bytes email list. And yeah, I'd love to get your feedback on, helping form what the future of these live streams will be, what products are coming. Hey, and since you stayed to the end, here, maybe a little here, let me make sure my demo is actually up and working right now. Hold on before I promise anything. Oh. All right. Here's a little sneak peek at what I'm working on. Yep, you guys see the desktop. So it's been years in the coming, right? But finally Bentoo is next up on the list. It's I'm sure you've seen it. It's the on Weaverspace, right? It's this little bad boy right here. If you want to create layouts like this, or if you want to create awesome grids and pages like this, you'll finally be able to. So Bentoo is coming. It's coming along pretty nicely. I don't have an ETA, but I think it's going along pretty quickly. So I'm really happy with it. I'm not going to give you guys a full demo. It's definitely still under development, but exciting. It's a cool one. So there's a sneak peek. Thanks for staying so long. You got a little bit of sneak peek of what's to come. So, okay, guys, that's it. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Hopefully, we'll see you on the Hangouts on Friday. See you on the community. post your questions, get some feedback going on what your pain points are. I'd love to hear it so we can make your lives a little bit easier. And we'll talk to you later. Take care, everyone. Bye.